All right, thanks. In chapter 4, Christensen talks about disruptively deploying computers. And he goes on to say that up until this point in time, student-centric technology in the form of computers hasn't had much impact on mainstream public education. So, in following in the steps of his ideas of non-consumption and disruptive learning and all of that, he goes on to talk about innovations that can occur in these non-consumable areas just yet. So, finding that space for them to be used and to be used effectively. And so he uses these four different examples of um, offering the blended learning or the student-centric learning or online courses for advanced placement courses to offer more courses that we currently have or schools currently have to offer more choice. We also see this in small rural or urban schools that due to budget constraints or just size cannot offer many courses besides their core. Credit recovery for students is also important, as is homeschooling. So maybe, not maybe, what Christensen wants to do is to get schools to kind of hook onto the blended learning platform in these areas to show that they can be used in other areas, hence the non-consumption part. Okay. Second point here is that student-centered technology will enable individualized learning, and that's what you're seeing through those innovations of the AP courses, the small schools, homeschooling. We're finding out what kids need and what kids can do on their own without the constraints of the architecture, the environment of the actual school itself. Going on with that idea is Christensen kind of prognosticating that perhaps 50% of all high school courses will be delivered in an online format, which that will happen by 2019. I think that's a little bit um, grandiose on his part, but I think we will definitely start to see more and more online courses being offered in those different environments. Okay, why will there be such an increase in online courses? Um, we'll start to see this because more schools will be forced to spend more of their time and more of their um, allocating more of the resources on the core subjects that are actually getting tested. Um, some of the peripheral courses, for myself teaching the social studies, is not necessarily something that is tested in terms of content, what the skills are, but we also might see courses in art or in music or in maybe a foreign language that aren't necessarily on standardized exams. So that means that kids will have to get that from a different source. Second point, schools may reduce or eliminate the investment in courses that are not critical to accountability movement. So what we're seeing there is they're taking these tests, teachers, buildings, administrators are being held accountable um, for different things, but not necessarily the courses follow that accountability structure. So if they have to eliminate that investment, the kids need to find it in a different way. As a result, this is where student-centric learning can find that area of non-consumption, and they can start to use the blended learning format. The implications of chapter 4, and there are a lot of them, um, we see the use of offering students more choice via the online course. Okay, so we want to keep the traditional school setting, but we want to offer more choice for that. And I think blended learning can obviously do that, especially Christensen thinks that as well. The idea of offering more flexible options to students to meet their individual needs. As students change, so do their needs, and blended learning can do that. And offering teachers a method of professional development to fit their needs. As an instructional coach, I'm looking at offering professional development for my teachers and other teachers, and this is something that I think can be used to go beyond the traditional school setting, and we can start to reach more and more teachers to provide this professional development. Chapter 5 is the system for student-centric learning. And to be honest, Chapter 5 did not have a lot of information that I can come away with and say, oh yeah, we have to do this, we have to do that, like we saw in Chapter 4. However, what we need to understand is that disruption is a two-stage process. The first stage is that the innovator, and he uses the business model to show this, the innovator makes a product much more affordable and simpler to use for us. However, it is still very expensive to make the product. Okay? So the correlation for us is that rich and robust computer-based learning products are expensive to build. So what do we have to do? The second prong then is additional technological change in the industry. Modular design makes it simple and inexpensive to build and upgrade the products. So the more that we are using this, the more that this is going to be part of our environment, a part of our system, it will be less and less cost inhibitive and actually cheaper in the long run. Implications, at first, it will be expensive, but ultimately less expensive. It's becoming more and more consumable. So by appealing to the non-consumable groups within our school, the more often it is used, the least expensive it will become. At the end of this presentation, our group put together some additional resources on Assembly that you can use that offers a synopsis of all of the chapters from Christensen, as well as some lectures from Michael Horn and even our own Padlet. I'll send it back now to chapter 6.